Hey guys, welcome back to Meetings of Mavri. I'm your host Mavri, and right now we are going to be watching Kotobuki episode 11. So, last episode, our Kotobuki girls repelled a rather large attack that was sent by Isao, and as it turns out, his goal all along was to take control of these holes, or I guess you could say interdimensional portals, in which the Yuhang comes from. So, again, that was sort of expected. I did kind of predict that, but still not sure if he has some other ulterior motive to controlling these holes. Like, is he trying to maybe repel a big attack that's going to come, or is he trying to invade into the hole, into potentially our world? Or is he just, a generic bad guy and he just believes that controlling these holes, he can control the world? We're not quite sure there yet. So we have 2 episodes left for Isao to for us to learn what exactly his plan is in regards to this. Beyond that, 2 new characters were introduced last episode as well, Naomi and Camille, and Naomi especially might be a little bit more important because of her relation with Kile and their connection to old Sab, who we believe is part of the Yuhang as well. Beyond that, there's actually also one other character that made a cameo appearance last episode, and that is Yuka of the Harukaze Squadron. So I actually didn't notice that. Thanks to the viewer who pointed it out last episode. But then again, she appeared for all of like 1 second in one scene, and we only saw her back. So cut me some slack here, okay? The Harukaze Squadron is this goes in with the game, right? The Kotobuki game. So as I mentioned before, within the game, there's actually 5 different squadrons, and there's 6 girls each within these squadrons. So a total of 30 different characters. And the Harukaze Squadron is basically the second squadron you meet right after the initial Kotobuki protagonist squadron. So I don't know anything about them because I haven't read any of the main storylines yet in order to not be potentially spoiled by their stories, so I can't really tell you guys anything about them right now, but just know that she is Yuka, the girl who made a cameo appearance, is the leader of the Harukaze Flying Squadron. Beyond that, so they are actually doing a lot of... Oh, actually, sorry. What I wanted to say was that in regards to the Harukaze Flying Squadron, actually it has been announced that in April they are going to be doing a series of, I guess, mini episodes or a mini anime that focuses on the Harukaze Flying Squadron. So it'll start in April and it'll be on their YouTube channel as well as in the game as well. And I guess you can generally expect it to be about 2 or 3 minute anime shorts that are going to be focusing on the daily lives of the Harukaze Squadron girls. So probably no fighting, no military planes, or maybe in 1 episode or 2, but it's mainly to let us know about the characters and personalities of these different flying squadrons so that we can understand them better and like this franchise a little bit more, basically. So they are, like I said before, putting a lot of resources into trying to build this franchise. Especially all the seiyus for the different characters, the voice actors, have been pretty active as well in promoting the Kotobuki franchise. So lots of things coming out as well. Oh, actually, one other thing I want to mention is that the character song album actually dropped for I think last week or 2 weeks before. So if you guys didn't know, the Kotobuki Squadron has 6 girls, right? And they each have their own character song. I've listened to some of it, and you can also listen to it in the game as well. It's actually quite good. Although if they did want to sort of promote it, they should have tried to fit it into the anime in some way, shape, or form. I feel like that would have helped the sales a lot better. But in any case, let's just get into the episode right now and see what's going to happen. So let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, this is Isao.
そうでない悪い奴らが数多くいるのです。かつて夕飯後をこの世界にもたらした穴は我らに繁栄をもたらした。
And donuts?
空気銃、夕飯具臭、カレー、ライス、パン、ケーキ。
That's not a pancake though.
悪い奴らは今その恩恵を独り占めにしようとしています。彼らは自分たちさえ良ければいいという心狭き極悪非道な輩たちなのです。その筆頭はラハマだ。
Okay, he's trying to pin the crime on Rahama instead.
せっかくの穴が消えてしまった。僕ら自由破壊連合はラハマとポロッカに首する奴らを許さない。富と幸福を分かち合おうとせず、穴の恩恵を独り占めにしようとする悪い奴らを許さない。自由破壊連合は全世界を平和に導く。自由破壊連合にはその力がある。自由破壊連合は最高だ。
Okay.
イサオめ、我が町をポロッカまで爆撃するとは。ゴドロウ様、お気を確かに。また血圧が上がります。血圧がなんだ。それよりイケスカどもの方が問題だ。
Yeah, I think it's hard to keep calm when your entire town has been bombed.
ガドールの高飛車女にもだ。
Oh, okay, here's the opening. Let me skip this real quick and I'll see you guys in a second. And back. Duel in Ikisuka.
奴の目的は権力の一点集中ではないか。なぜわからん。それを思い知らせてやるんでしょ。その通りだ。イサオごと。
Okay, so this is like the resistance.
世界は終わりね。イジツは3つに分断される。イサオとイサオの取り巻き。そしてイサオの奴隷。
こちらを福山部隊作戦区域に到着した。
Well, that's a lot of planes.
よっしゃ、連合軍を確認。10時の方向。100機ってところか。前情報より少ないな。
1時方向、敵およそ100。
合わせて200か。
みんな、準備はいい？
Okay, now this is going to be an epic air battle.
アドルホに任せてもらうぜ。
いや、それは勘弁。
それはないんじゃないの、ナオミ隊長。俺は世に聞こえるナザレン飛行隊のアドルフ。
カミラ、うちらの役目と目的、分かってるよね。深追いは禁物。はい。恨みは恨み。慌てず冷静沈着に敵をコテンパン。
命大事ってことだ。
さ、じゃあ前期、作戦開始。オフ高山部隊が戦闘状態に入りました。
よーしよしよし、引っかかったか。へへ、大鳥とも知らずイケスカと自由迫害連合200機、ほぼ全機投入してきたな。
油断は禁物よ。
Okay.
残しているかもしれないわ。
おいおい、ユーリア、あんたらしくもない。愚策中の愚策は臆病って言うだろうが、第一こっちには確かな裏付けがあるな、助役。はい、私の情報網によれば万に一つも間違いはありません。
Okay. Well, that's a big flag if I ever seen one.
声出さないと人に命令できない人って何なの？権威は音量に比例すると思ってるからじゃないかしら。バカ。
君たち、誹謗中傷は良くないよ。
構わないわ。小泥があれなのは当たってるから。でもあれとハサミは使いようなのも事実だし。高価な兵力は使わせてもらうわ。あなたやけに自信があるのね。もちろん、こっちは寄せ集めかもしれないけど、数では連合軍に勝ってる。勝負は五分五分よ。私なら勝ち目が半分しかないギャンブルなんてごめんだわ。だけど、今を逃せばさらに勝率は下がる。なら今かけるしかないってことね。そういうこと。
ミキのやつ、ポロッカから避難できたかな。連絡来ないんだけど、心配なんだけど。
連絡なんか来るわけないでしょ。
だってマダムが取りなしてくれたはず。
取りなしただけ。連絡するとは言ってないし。だけど時間はかけていられない。まずは爆撃機の生産拠点を叩く。
どこだっけ。そうだそうだ。
Oh, the captain is smart.
より南西に25キロ。富岳製造工場。
風速17クーリル、90度、伏線、指揮をお願いします。
選手を風上に。両舷前進強速。黒20。
ハッチ開放します。戦闘機体、発進準備。
Okay, so they're going to be attacking the bombing construction factories with fighter planes?
本拠地を狙おうって言うんだから、まあそうね。平等はれっきとした作戦の一つ。こういうの嫌い。好き ちはわかるが、個人的には拙速を避けて話し合いの場を設けるべきだと思う。私はレオナに反対ですわ。あらまあ、どうして？レオナは話し合いの通用しない相手がいることを忘れています。人を信用することは信用した分だけ弱みになります。それでも私はレオナに従うわ。正しい正しくないじゃなくてね。意味不明。ケイトはどっち派？やる派やらない派？確かめたいことがある。何それ？確かめたいことを確かめるために行く。意味不明。
Yeah, as I said, I like the way that they nowadays animate the planes flying out of the airship. So dropping off into the air makes more sense.
キリエ、遅れるな。高度も下げすぎだ。なんですの緊張感のない。最近のキリエ、ずっとだるそうね。てかもしかしてキリエビビってる？いや、私たちの目的って何だったっけって思ってるだけ。今更ですの？
Mhm.
ノーマルの警備とイケスカへの攻撃だ。警備はともかく、攻撃は何が目的なんだっけ？あなた、会議の時幽体離脱でもしてましたの？してないよ。ちゃんと聞いてたけど、全然頭に入ってこないんだもん。ラハマに穴が開きそうになって、イサオがやってきて、そんでユーリアが同盟組んで、そこまではなんとなく納得。そんで？なんで今ここにいるんだっけ？そもそも戦いってなんとなくでするもんだっけ？
Hmm.
寿って
Surprisingly
命令は命令、決定は決定。
surprisingly perceptive of things. Hmm. Well, that is a good question. Like, is Isao really unreasonable or something? I don't know. This is a mess. Holy crap.
こいつらにわか空軍かと思ったら、思ったよりやるじゃないのよ。みんな、ショートの敵よ。粉々になっちゃって一丁目劇場の分も、角のパン屋さんの分も、タコ中公園の分も、食らわしてやるのよ。
Ooh.
姫、天下一の伊達男がついてるぞ。
Hmm.
なんてことしてくれたのよ、このバケラス。私が軌道に入ったらデッキの進路を制限するのが当然でしょうか。
Hmm.
だったらでかい口叩くんじゃねえっつの。この早打ち無駄玉野郎。
姫、ナオミ大将、5時の方向。
何してんのよ、これ僕ら。浮かんでるだけならガソリンの無駄。
言おうとしたんだけど。
援護もできないなら僕ら以下。
Oh, that's harsh. But then again, this is supposed to be life or death.
視界遮んな、金魚のクソ野郎。
すいません。
So the Kotobuki are leading the charge?
工場を叩けば自白連の兵力は抑え込める。
And it's empty?
この間のでっかいのいないね。富岳。そうそう、それこの間ので全部だったんじゃありません？それにしても気配がなさすぎる。
Oh, it's a diversionary tactic.
これやっちゃうの？
遠慮はいらん。存分にやってやれ。
敵の迎撃隊はどうしたのよ。
影も形も見えんとは同盟軍におじけづいたと見える。
マダム、ユリア議員。
Oh, here they are.
罠200。いや、
バカな。そんな数を連合軍が持ってるもんか。第一助役の前情報と違うだろうが。ごドロー様、どうも万に一つの間違いが起こりましたな。なんだと。そろそろ転職の時が来たのです。お世話になりました。
Oh, so he was a spy. Double agent.
それではお元気
Okay. Dang. You are so stubborn. Ooh. Yeah, as mentioned last episode, they're using way superior technology to the protagonist groups. Oh. Chica? Okay. Oh. Looks like it actually exploded. Oh? Yeah, what the? Oh. Wait, what the heck is that? What? Dang. What the hell is this thing? And a reverse propeller? Holy crap. Oh, how are they communicating? He just wants to have fun? Oh.
だから難しい話は嫌だって言ったのに。
But seriously, what is that plane? I think it outmaneuvers you.
どうもどうも新顔くん。新顔じゃない、キリエだ。お前とはあれ島で会った。それから魚の時も。どうだっけ。そういえばその尾翼のマーク覚えてる気がするな。でも強情だった。 Oh,
Elsab? There we go, the Japanese army.
そこの軍属とかっていう技術者だったらしいけど、何度言っても何を言い聞かせても言うことを聞かなかった。おまけに逃げようとしました。サブジ、戦いが嫌いだったのかな。嫌いだったんでしょうな。
Okay.
わかんないけどね。そう、今や知る由もありませんが。だよね。面倒で撃っちゃったからね。かわいそうだね。ユーハングに捨てられ、こっちじゃ僕に撃たれていいことなし。今頃どうしてるかな。きっと荒れ地のどこかで腐り果ててるね。このケツ頭野郎。サブジーはな。何どうしたの。サブジーはお前なんか大嫌いだ。
Oh?
撃ってもキリがない。しか2時の方向上ですわ。
Hmm.
馬力が違いすぎますわ。じゃあどうすんの。地下来たわよ。回避して。はい。
Oh.
やりました。
Oh. That's not good. She stalled, so... Okay. Alright. At least she ejected. That was quite dangerous, actually. Uncontrolled freefall? Well, that's a lot of alcohol.
まあ死んでるって感じは味わえないからね。取り回せのため戦車のバラストを投棄します。そう簡単には行かせてくれそうにないわね。
町長。はいはいはい。9時に鉄器軍だ。はいはい。来年1機じゃ限りがあるよ。
Oh? Wait, is that the elite? Holy crap. This thing is OP. Oh. Oh. Nice.
聞きたいことがある。アレンを撃墜したのはあなたか。
そうだよ。
Okay. Now that ended all of a sudden. Alright. Alright. Okay, I'll see you guys after the ending. Okay, there's actually a little bit more right after the ending song, so let's just watch this together. So beginning in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, so are they retreating right now?
んなもん決まってんだろ最悪だ了解ですケイト機キリエを乗せて帰還中
Okay.
ドッキリ大発表穴が開くよ
Really?
ここちょうどいけつかの上空
Really?
荒野のコトブキ飛行隊
Alright.
夕日のコトブキ飛行隊
Okay, and so now it's really over. And I'll see you guys in a second. Alrighty, so that was episode 11 of Kotobuki. And I think, various different things happened, but I want to get the most interesting part to me out first, and that is the new plane. So the plane actually does exist. It's called the Kyushu J7W Shinden. The Shinden. So it's another experimental aircraft that the Japanese military was trying to make near the end of the war, similar to the bomber from the previous episode, the Nakajima Fugaku, right, the bomber. However, a key difference here is that whereas the Fugaku was only ever a plane that existed as a concept, or maybe they had some blueprints for it, the Shinden was actually they made prototypes of it. They made 2, in fact, that they were testing out before the end of the war. And it's a pretty interesting aircraft, right? Because I did some research on it as to what exactly is. So it turns out that the entire concept of the Shinden was to create an interceptor to fight back against the B-29s that were bombing Japan. So used primarily as an anti-bomber plane. So the requirements for this was to have a plane that could at least be as speedy as the P-51 Mustangs that the US was using, and also to have, in order to shoot down the planes, you need to get by these escorts and whatnot, so it had to have high maneuverability as well. So they decided to do things a little bit differently. Rather than using a conventional aircraft design, they decided to use canards, which are these small wings jutting out of the main big wings in the front. Generally, you would use that to provide better maneuverability, or better lift, better control, etc., etc. Now, the problem with that is, if you want to use those kinds of wings, then you have to use a rear-mounted engine. So that is why this plane also features what is called a pusher propeller in the back. So that was quite interesting as well. And by the way, no plane actually went into mass production based on this kind of configuration. This type of design with the canards was not revitalized until later on, when jet engines became mainstream. So in lots of, I guess, semi-modern aircraft, you can see this kind of design, especially during the 90s and 2000s. So things like the Sukhoi 27-33s, or maybe the Dassault Rafales, they use similar designs to this, mainly European fighters, actually. Funny enough, I think most US-based aircraft don't utilize this kind of design. It's more of a European and Soviet Union slash Russian thing. But anyways, the whole purpose of that kind of design is to provide better maneuverability. And using a rear propeller type did had its problems as well. I was reading up on it, and apparently this plane, in order to allow the pilots to eject safely, they actually also had a mechanism to basically release the propeller in the back before the pilots ejected. So just in case that when the pilots eject, they won't be sucked into the rear propeller and be killed by the blades, right? So that was quite interesting to me. Sadly, as I said, this plane never really actually went into mass production. Although the prototypes were built and they weren't flown, it was already 1945 by the time they did these tests, so it was near the end of the war, so it never actually came to be. However, a few concepts of it did kind of popped up within this episode, right? So one thing is that, so two main characteristics of this plane were used here. First, its maneuverability, and also secondly, its operational height. So first one, in terms of maneuverability, I do think that this anime took some liberties with it and made it much more maneuverable than it possibly could have been. There were some scenes that were absolutely ridiculous, but some that were kind of within the realm of possibility. So one cool maneuver that Isao did this episode was the hammerhead, right? It's not the first time we saw this maneuver. We saw it a few episodes before as well, but using this plane, it executed the hammerhead maneuver where, you know, you go directly up and then you basically turn around and then fly. You do so when you're flying up, right? And then once you're almost at a stall at a height, you basically flip your plane around and then dive down and go on to whichever trajectory you wish to. So that maneuver was executed before, but here with this plane, with the Shinden, they made it look cooler and much more faster than what was previously shown. And another maneuver that I really wish they would have showed us would be the Cobra, which is a very highly advanced maneuver, and it essentially is the plane, so you're flying this way, right? And then the Cobra would be the plane rearing up to almost even, so if we're going by degrees, even further past 90 degrees, and maybe something like, I don't know, 100 or 110 degrees, sort of like a Cobra, right? Rearing its head, and then flying like this, and then going back forward again. So in this episode, Isao did pull off a maneuver similar to it, the part where he deceived Riona, right? And so if you guys recall, he pulled back and went to the tail of Riona. Now, unfortunately, he didn't just execute the Cobra maneuver, he also added a few spins in there, which was entirely ridiculous, to be honest. But I guess it's just an embellishment. But I do feel like it's kind of sad, because the Cobra itself is already a very highly advanced maneuver that isn't really possible to pull off without very advanced capabilities of the aircraft. So maybe they didn't need to add the embellishments there. And it would work just fine. I guess they just added to be cool. So that was in regards to maneuverability of the craft. And the second part would be in terms of the operational height. So the operating doctrine for this plane was that it was to basically ascend to a very high ceiling, of 12,000 meters. And then that would be higher than what the B-29 could fly, which is, I believe, around 10,000 meters. So they would fly at an operational height higher than the bombers, and then basically swoop down and attack the bombers that way. And it was demonstrated here because Isao, when he climbed to a higher altitude than the Hayabusa, which Killua was flying. And indeed, the Shinden does have a higher operational ceiling than the Hayabusa, and so that is why Killua was forced to turn around first, and she couldn't keep up with flying to that altitude with Isao. So at least they demonstrated some special aspects, or the specs of the Shinden here, which was great, I feel. So that was the part of the plane, and I gotta admit, it looked cool. That plane looked cool, if a bit ridiculous, right? So that was in regards to the new plane. As for the rest of the air battle, not really much to comment there. It looked busy, it looked epic, but at the same time, not much was actually shown, right? So I'll refrain from talking about that. So let's talk a little bit about the main plot, right? So as it turns out, a lot of people were correct in that the Yuhang was the Imperial Japanese Army / Navy / Air Force. Well, actually, I don't think they had an Air Force. It was either the Army or the Navy, right? And so that was that. So a lot of guys were correct. And that is why they had these World War II planes that are currently being used by the people within the Kotobuki universe. And it turns out Osab is from the Yuhang as well, and he was a military engineer. So that part is all fine and dandy. So what does this all mean? Well, I don't know. There's still not much info to go on as to what this entirely what it is. I've read some theories where they say that essentially the Japanese were using this area as sort of like a staging area, or a production area, if you will, so that they could evade being bombed by the US bombers. I guess that theory would kind of make sense, and then eventually they all left because the war ended. Yeah, that's a possibility, I guess. But then what does Isao have to do with all this? And is he really just a big douchebag? Because they're really making out Isao to be the bad guy here, right? So he double-crossed Leona, he bombed everybody's homes, he shut down old Sab, he shut down Alan as well. He's being the ultimate prick, right? The ultimate bad guy. Which I guess is fine, but again, I'd like to know what exactly he wants with the whole and with the Yuhang, and how exactly are they going to resolve this situation. So they got exactly 1 episode left. I do believe this is a 12-episode series. Yeah, it should be, because I believe on Twitter they said that the final episode would be next week. So how are they going to end this? I feel like there's so much stuff that you can't really end within 1 episode, right? And especially now we know that the next haul is going to be right in Isao's home turf. You know what? I'm thinking maybe in the end Isao is going to fly by himself into the hole and never to return back. And so with Isao gone, the Freedom Union just disbands and everybody goes back to normal. That would kind of be a sucky ending, but somehow I could see it going that way, if I'm entirely honest. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. And I don't think there's any further new experimental type of aircraft or such to fly anymore. So that should be the end of that as well. So we'll just wait until the finale. On that note, however, I do have to make an announcement in advance. Because I'm going to go on a business trip next week, I won't be in my home country. I won't be able to record these videos on time. So the next episode of Kotobuki will be delayed by maybe 2 or 3 days. Once I get back, I'll try to get them out ASAP, but well, it's work, so I can't really blow it off, and I highly doubt I'll have time to record while I'm on the road. So this series is, not, I think, one of the lesser. It's not as it's more of a, it's not as popular as my other series, but I do still want to finish this anime, as I do believe it's quite interesting. And if anything, I do think that the songs and the soundtrack and the sound effects of this anime are pretty good. So at least it has that going for them. Until then, I'll continue playing. In the meantime, I'll be playing the game as well, so feel free to also share some thoughts of the game as well, since I do believe that the game is going to be much bigger and popular than the anime and whatnot. Similar to my other series I'm doing, Bandream. But, in any case, right, that's been episode 11, this has been Mavri, and I'll see you guys next time, hopefully not too much later in the future. So until then, so long, bye bye.